Hi, Jim VanZandt, one of the pastors here at Carlisle United Methodist Church with Sermon in 3 Minutes. If you're a regular viewer of this, we had technical difficulties last week and weren't able to bring Sermon in 3 Minutes. But today we started a new sermon series 2 weeks ago. It's called Generations. I just simply divided up a lifespan of 0 to 100 into 4 quarters. Football season seemed to make sense. And those quarters of life are 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. Yeah, you might be thinking, well, that's kind of weird. That's 2 25s, 2 50s, and 2 75s. Well, I like to think of that as maybe the commercial timeout between the quarters if you watch football. You can choose whether you're at the end of the second quarter or the beginning of the third quarter if you're 50 years old. What we're looking at specifically is where we should be in our faith development in those quarters of our lives. 2 weeks ago, I started with the fourth quarter. We're starting with the end of the game because, well, it's the end of the game and the end of our life. Where should we be in our faith development toward those golden years of our lives? And last week, just yesterday, we talked about the third quarter of life. That's 50 to 75. The third quarter of life is critically important in this kind of a way. It's the time when those of us who have lived through some life experiences, we've been through life experiences, if we've been in the church any time at all, we've probably been under some study or group experience. We are the ones who are now the ones to step forward to lead and to mentor and to teach the younger generations who will come after us. The church has always relied on an effective succession of leadership, and that works best when the third quarter people come forward and give all of that wisdom and experience that they have amassed through the years of their life. When they don't do that, the church suffers. When they do that, historically the church has always thrived. You see, the responsibilities of teaching and mentoring and leading, they don't change whether or not the third quarter people step up or not. They just fall to another person. In the church, those person or persons tend to be the pastors, and then the church will only grow to the extent that the pastors are able to control what they can do and what they have skills and talents to do. So it's always been part of the process for third quarter people to do that. We just generally need to do that in our lives, in our careers, in our jobs, with our families. You know, if we're in that sweet spot of 50 to 75 somewhere, it is time for us to step forward and to take on roles of leadership and take on roles of servanthood. We need to grow deep roots and do those things because we're mature enough to understand the necessity of deep roots. We also need to go out of our comfort zones and show other people it's okay to do that. In terms of the church and in service to the church, that's easy to do. We may not be confident in maybe going on a mission trip, but we know God is with us. We know Jesus is with us. We know we're commanded to love other people. And so we just go do it. So if you're in that third quarter of life, I want you to think about the places you might be able to step up and lead, wherever it might be, in the church, in your job, any other volunteer organizations. If you're not in the third quarter of life, just know that the third quarter is a pretty big and important time in people's lives. If you're in the second quarter or even first quarter, well, just know that we'll be looking for you to take leadership in the future. God bless your day. Thanks for tuning in. Sermon in 3 Minutes.